Satyavathi garu is one of the foremost story writers and feminist voices in Telugu literature. Um, she has been writing stories for more than 4 decades. These stories are from 1980s to 2010s across the magazines, print magazines and e-magazines and whatnot. And she worked as an English lecturer in Vijayawada for a long time. And also earlier she served in one of the magazines as a one of the magazines called Andhra Prabha in her professional life. And her her writings touch upon various aspects of a woman's life across the generations. She started in 1980s and continued to write in 2016s, 2018s also. Her notable works include a story that has written in 2016 also. So her writings touch upon all the aspects of women life. You can consider those stories as like documenting women's life from various lens and from various dimensions. And her characters span across the classes, be it a wealthy class to middle class to even downtrodden lives actually. And she also written stories which encapsulates various social history of Andhra Pradesh especially, be it globalization in 1990s or else be it different kinds of lives in 20s, 2000s or else various changes that alcoholism has brought to lives of downtrodden in post 2000s. And even in 2010s etc, she has also written about how market is influencing lives of young women, especially very marginalized women, in a way that like she has been a kind of, in short, she is a keen social scientist, not just a writer but a social scientist who used her stories as a tools of understanding the life that is around her and documenting it for reflection of contemporary society and also for future society. That's the kind of introduction that I wanted to provide about P. Satyavathi garu initially. And with that, I want to start with my first question. So I want to get to know about like how you started writing right from the beginning. What made you to write?
Greetings to all of you, and thanks to Pavan. I was born and raised in a small village before independence. I was born before independence, and I studied in the village till my matriculation. My my father was a middle class farmer, and we had a very good childhood. I had a very good childhood with loving family. Like my mother used to read books from the library, my father used to buy books, and my home was full of books and love, because there were no disputes in our house. My aunt was there. She was an young widow. She used to treat us like her own children. And so I had a very fruitful and rich childhood. So there was no discrimination between my brothers and my sisters and me. We were all looked after very well. So when in 1955, I was graduated from my high school and went to study in Koti Women's College, Hyderabad. So in those days, the cutoff point for women education was 10th class only, SSLC only. I was the only one who joined the college in my family. So As luck would have it, I was with my uncle, my maternal uncle, who was an English lecturer and principal of Vivekvardhini College, and he had a very good library in his house with so many English books. So he used to guide me to read Dickens, read Hardy, like that. And they were, my uncle and my aunt were a very good couple. They were very friendly. So I came to know how people should live, how husband and wife should live, how they should be friends. But in my house, my father was dominating everything. All the money was with him, and we had to ask him for everything. My mother used to ask him for everything whenever we went outside, like to my aunt's house in Vijayawada. We have to ask him for money. He used to give us money very liberally, but we have to ask him. The key was with him, the bureau key was with him, and we have to ask. Then only I decided I must have financial independence. I must work, I must study hard, and I must work. That was how my ideology started. And on reading books, I used to develop ideas like that, how women should behave, how they should not be treated at home, how we should live and how we should not live. Uh, my learning was all negative learning, how we should not behave, how people should not treat us, how we should not treat people, like that. So I was very lucky in that aspect. So in our family, my sisters were all homemakers, and I am the only one who worked and who wrote something, who went outside, who read books and all. So the reading only made me a writer. From literature only, I wanted to. I was thinking of writing something. Why should I not write about, why should I not express my feelings, like that? I started writing, but whatever I wrote, all that was not a leisure literature, not a pastime literature. I wanted to make focus on some point or something, mostly about women, how they should behave in at home, how they have to grab their freedom. That was my ambition.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So you covered both the aspects of your literature. Uh, why you choose writing, and also why you choose the subject of your writing. You got to know how ideal life should be, and also you also got to know how what's not ideal. So um, when you start, continue. Meanwhile, I just want to bring up a very interesting story that Satyavathi Garu has written. I know some of you might have a good understanding about what she has written, and some of you might not have. So let me introduce one of the very interesting stories that she has written. It's called Illalakagane Pandagauna. In English, what is my name? So a woman suddenly forgets her name. She is well educated and she becomes a homemaker, and she handles her home very well, and she is very much obsessed with the cleanliness of home. At some point of time, she suddenly forgets her name and she starts figuring out what's her name. And the first person she asks is her maid. And maid says that your name doesn't make any sense to me, so I don't know your name. And then she asks her children, and they says like your name is Amma, mother, nothing more than that. And husband, husband says, what is in your name? So I don't call you by name. I don't remember your name. Likewise, the story goes on. And the story is all about like when she found her name, how she found her name. And if some of you are Telugus, you know that like there is a story about a housefly that forgets its own name. So this story she woven out of that bedtime stories, and uh, it's now in ninth class textbook. If some of you might have already uh, been in that stage, or else in 10th class English textbook few years ago as what is my name. So I would like to ask you about your form by introducing this story. It is very evident that you picked up very interesting form rather than speaking about how women forgets herself. So you didn't start by saying like she forget herself, or else she forget her whole life, etc. And similarly there is another story which is called Supermom Syndrome. Again you picked up a very interesting form. I'll get to that story later after giving a synopsis of that. I would want to ask you directly about like how did you pick up these form?
I would say just like that. I picked it up just like that because this housefly story came into my mind. So like that only the homemaker forgets her all her talents, her abilities, everything after becoming a homemaker. She immerses herself in the housework, raising her children, looking after everybody, and she thinks that that is the only duty for her. That is the only her life ambition. And later, she realizes that she has some talent. She can draw pictures, she can draw drawings, she can sing and everything through a friend. So after that, she decides, I should not be like this. Housework is not that important. That's only a part of life. I can be myself. Like the fly, which remembers its name after a horse neighs. So
Yeah.
when the fly hears she remembers her name is Ega, like that.
So continuation to this question, the Supermom Syndrome also doesn't start with the point that like oh there is a person who dedicated her entire life to family and had a lot of medicines, not in a traditional way, but you picked up a very different kind of, I don't know if we can call it as a magical realism or what, but suddenly a housewife dies, and that's housewife, like they figured out that housewife's body is not just normal, it is all some white powder. So what is this white powder? Someone does a little research on that white powder and figures out that like this is all some medicines, aspirin, regular medicines that every day a housewife generally takes. A lot of aspirin, a lot of other kind of medicines, which she used to take in order to become a super mom, not a regular mom. She wanted to extend her too much. So again, the same question, like, how did you stumble upon this way of writing? Like, is your earlier stories, is your earlier novels also were in the same kind of like a wonderful form and wonderful story altogether, or else is there a gradual growth that your literary career took?
I think by reading too many English novels, I got that. Again, the answer is just like that. But the housefly story is written in 1990, and this story, Supermom Syndrome, is written in 96. So there is a change in both the homemakers because that this supermom also works outside. She earns money. She has financial independence. And she has over ambitious. She is very over ambitious. She wants to be everything in the family. She wants to drive the family. She wants to make her children useful people, like going to America, like becoming engineers and doctors. So then the syndrome catches her. So she works like a machine. She loses her everything, her entire spirit, and she becomes a bundle of medicines. Not actually medicine. Medicines are only a metaphor. Her over ambition, the
Her over ambition killed her
over
actually.
ambition makes her becoming like that, lose her life. She loses her life with her over ambition. So I am everything. With the newly gained freedom, with the newly gained financial independence and decision making, she also acquires decision making, and she dominates everybody in the house. So like that, she loses her life. Her life means her spirit and everything. So this housefly is different from this housefly, from this supermom. So that is one extreme, and this is one extreme.
Housefly has one problem,
That is one extreme.
and Supermom
This is
has
another
another
extreme.
problem. So right, you have also written about women who got empowered and did what they wanted to do, and also again society didn't accept them. Even their daughter, her own daughter, didn't accept the way that she chose her own life, kind of. So in Damayanti's daughter, you bring up the question of should daughter or else anyone in the society be the judge for what she does.
My opinion behind the story is the woman Damayanti goes away from the family. But the family has to move on. They have to understand her. That why she went away, I am not concerned about it. Whether Damayanti went with somebody or whether she went away to live alone, that is not the question. But my opinion is we should not judge her. Let her live her own life and let us move on. Let the family members move on. Don't judge her and don't say anything about her. So that's what our son says. Let her live in peace and let us also live in peace. We'll do our thing and she does her thing. Let us hope that she lives well. She is good.
Thank you. So while you have dealt with a lot of problems figured out by social scientists elsewhere, or else a lot of theory that speaks about feminism, I would also like to know, when did you came across feminism as a theory, or else feminist thought? When did you start reading feminist thought, and is it before writing the stories or else after a lot of these stories you started
Not
writing
before
in?
writing stories. After writing, the plight of woman actually moved me. So I began writing about women in the family. I wrote about middle class housewives mostly. After writing many stories about middle class people, then I started writing about the lower strata people who are saying, who are living in our Swarnandhra Pradesh, the Swarnas. About the Swarnas, I began to write many stories. So how they are leading their life, how they are dropping out of the school, why they cannot achieve their dreams because of many many problems at home. The alcoholic fathers, the overworking mothers, their dreams, the people, they cannot, they are not able to cross the point of 10th class. They are dropping out, they are failing, they are writing 3 4 times, and they are working in small places like sari shops, fancy shops, medical shops, in houses like maids. So they are not able to come out of that point, not one step ahead. That's what pains me. So we have to think about them. Like nurses looking after old people. So that strata of society is not able to go one step ahead. They are remaining the same. They are driving autos, doing small petty jobs, becoming alcoholics, and not able to bring their families well. One or two are becoming, when one girl, one auto driver's daughter becomes a collector, we praise her. All the papers praise her. There are many stories about her. 1 in 1,000 can only become an officer or a collector or a doctor. So they are ending up after high school. So what to do with them? What are we doing for them? What is the government doing for them? What is the society doing for them? Now I am thinking about that.
So before opening questions to audience, I want to also learn, like, I'll tell another story of yours to audience and ask you a question. So there is a story of Swarna. I think you have written it in 2016 or 2015 or 16, I guess.
16.
2016. Itlumi Swarna. So this is a story of uh, a person who is a sales girl in um, one of the sari showrooms, and she faces all this constant pressure of becoming beautiful, and also becoming her own, and doing a lot of things that other middle class people does, like having a fast food and going to a beauty parlor and handling a lot of things that others do in the society. And she tries to do those things, but she can only afford a third class beauty parlor, so that creates a lot of problem to her skin. She can only afford to eat some noodles in a roadside dhaba, so that she become diarrheic. So you have written this story of a Swarna who tries to be who tries to be like catching up with society, but couldn't. Market forces, etc. All these things came up. I want to ask you, like, do you have a lot of such stories to tell? Are you going to write more stories for this generation going ahead?
I talk to them. I talk to everybody who comes across me. So I extract their experiences. And then I write. I wrote about one Swarna who was a caregiver to an old woman, a Swarna who worked in a medical shop, a Swarna who takes Amravati money. That Amravati money goes to her father, who takes it to for his drinking or for his loans. And there are so many Swarnas. I wanted, now I have some 8 or 10 stories about different Swarnas, and I'm going to publish an anthology about that. Itlu me Swarna.
Wonderful,
What do
ma'am.
you want to do with me? I am here in Swarna, Andhra Pradesh. That's why I name every character Swarna. In all my stories, I call her Swarna.